You're live.
Ready? We're live?
You're live.
All right, hey. Afternoon. Welcome to the THC show, everybody. A little delayed episode today and a little bit of a different episode today for sure. We're out here on the banks of the Fraser River, and we're here at the memorial for Michelle Rainey, who passed away 10 years ago. She was such an amazing leader in our community, and has a lot to do with where we are now as far as the gains that we've made with respect to legalization. So we're here sparking it up for Michelle, and it is 4:20. We're a little bit behind, so light them if you got them. Jodie, come on in here if you want.
Hugs from Michelle Rainey. That was the biggest thing about Michelle.
Oh, she loved her big booby hugs.
She loved her big booby hugs, and I was just sitting here just talking about, you know, the day I first met Michelle and how she inspired me as a medical patient to really kind of get involved and start helping patients. She was a huge part. She had the medical package, and she did it for people with cancer, and I had a medical package for patients. Remember that? And it's just going back that memory lane of just how great she was, you know. And
she was amazing. I was going to wear my full suit today, even though I'm out here on the riverbank, because Michelle wanted us all to dress good all the time. She really made sure that we were a good-looking crew as far as looking after that side of things, and so many other things that she did. But she had such a glow about her. She was just this bundle of positive energy, and just was like the den mother of all the activists.
Exactly.
And
that's why we were just sitting there talking about how she would show up and look after all the girls who were working at CCHQ and bring them stuff, and just like she was the mother there.
So
she looked after
passionate.
everybody.
And it's just as I was walking around the corner here, I thought to myself, you know, what would Michelle think 10 years later here?
Yeah.
It's like Michelle would be going to every event she could to get near anyone in positions of power to be like, now you listen here.
Yeah.
The medical patients still don't have access, and that's not right, and you better do. And she would just like,
she was all about the
tear
medical.
into them, but in that sweet, like, fired up way that's like, don't you stop. And like she had this, like, up until the very end, she was so full of that, like, hell no, we won't go.
Right to the end, we didn't even know.
Exactly, right to the end for sure. I looked all day today for my medicinal shirt. It must be in my storage because I couldn't find it in any of my boxes and stuff. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up. But she was all about medical. She was the one who really pioneered the whole idea of medical cannabis, and so much to do with where we are.
She provided not just medical packages, but like she shared her medicine when it was
all the time,
still criminal to do
She
so.
always would roll one. She'd hand one to herself. No,
All
I
the
don't
time.
share, but here's your pre-roll.
whole pack of
and the whole
pre-rolls.
package she opened up. And I remember that was in.
And you remember Afghani Bull Rider, still to this day like the most potent weed that has ever come along.
And it's, yeah, it's sad to think she didn't get to see where we are today, but
It's true.
But again, it's like, well, there's a lot of people who know and remember her, right? And if they don't yet, they will, because as history is being made right now, and it's going to change the world, just the way things are going with cannabis and all plant medicines. But then they're going to look back and be like, well, who did what when? Like, who was in the old days? And there you'll have Michelle sending out the seeds to everybody.
One of the pillars.
Making sure the money got where it needed to go.
She's the reason Mark Emery started dressing properly.
Yeah, that's true. She literally shaped him up when he met her at a bank because she was in banking, and walked in and inspired her. And she said, "You inspire me." And I'm a secret medical marijuana user. Williams Wonder was her strain, and she could never find the Williams Wonder again. And then she met Mark. She's like, "I'm gonna work for you," and I'm gonna. She's one of those people, kind of like me. You know, one day I'm gonna, and then she did. And then she made sure that everything that was so chaotic and wild at that time, there was some order, and she really, like, yeah, people don't understand how much she did, and Den Mother is the right name.
In 2006, I was on the first Freedom Tour, and I was now inline skating up the Malahat mountain range, which I hadn't really trained for. Not adequately, anyway. And she called me, like, she phoned me, and I'm talking to her on the phone for, like, the last third of the way up. And that whole third of the way up just disappeared. It just did. She was on the phone, we were talking, I'm skating, and next thing I know, I'm at the summit. Before that phone rang, I was struggling, and I didn't even think about it anymore. And she guided me up to the top of the hill.
Gave me some energy.
Gave me that energy, and
I wonder if she's up there telling Jason to be dressed up really nice right now. I wonder if they're meeting each other right now.
and that's the sad thing today is we've lost another one of our warriors, you know. And Jason has passed away in the last few days here, Jason Wilcox. And we owe him a lot too, as he helped people get their gardens. And I know so many people credit him with helping them grow and learning how to grow, and that they only grow because of him.
If it wasn't Jason, we have 4 plants.
We probably wouldn't even be here right now.
Yeah.
Being
No,
able
we'd
to
be
smoke
here.
and stuff,
Yeah,
right?
let's talk about it.
It's all right.
November 17th.
We're all a bit really sad,
Sat down and talked about it on
so many dinners with him and Vicky and lunches and meeting at cannabis clubs and cups and stuff like that.
And I hate
So
to
many.
say it, but it feels like, you know, a lot of people
remember
are
when Michelle
struggling
showed
now.
up at Jason's place with Jeff in 2010 when he just moved into Abbotsford, and she showed up with a bull rider. And she never gave that to anybody else, but she gave it to Jason. We grew that, and then the cops came down and they cut down those mother plants. And I was the first one there, and we hired John Conway, and that which led to the coalition fight and stuff. But hired John Conway to fight, and no one ever knew, but we weren't allowed to disclose. But I'm going to disclose. So we got $7,000 for them cutting down those plants, and we went up and had a really nice dinner. That was my medical mother plant, and it was also the bull rider. Yeah, and I was the first on scene there, and it's just like, you know, it's like Jason gave the inspiration, and like when I remember when we did some videos, and there's a picture of my tattoo on the YouTube. I said, you gotta take it on that video right now. People can't know. They know that tattoo. And I said, you're gonna be on YouTube one day. I know you will. And then we did some talks together, and we went with Dana Larson and Kurt Tusaw and Randy Kane, and we did that big talk in Langley. Was one of the first ones there, and started getting, that was one of the third compassion clubs that opened. And Jason was always there for patients, just like Michelle.
Yeah.
You know what? There's
All about patients.
all about the patients. Like,
And
yeah.
they were patients too, so
We're all
like they
patients.
put in extra, you know, to put in
We're
all
all
the extra
patients.
energy.
And
Jason and Ann were patients at Ted's Compassion Club in Victoria, and then they worked there with Ted for quite a while. And I first met them in 2006 on the first Freedom Tour. They were the first people that I stayed with on that tour. And we made a bunch of videos from there, and I got to know
I think
Jason.
I really first met you at Jason's house. When I came out when I ran my dispensary, and you guys were talking about all technical
He did amazing.
Learned
things,
a lot
I'll
from
tell you, he was an
Playing chess
amazing
every
guy
day.
when it came to making extracts and things
we're
like
talking
that.
about Molson Cannabis.
Cannabis,
So Molson Cannabis was going to move in, and we had to protect our gardens, and that's when I called CTV News, brought them into my garden, and yeah, it's just renting him that house, helping him put that grow in. He helped build my grow room, so the grow room you guys see every day on my YouTube. He put those walls together with my dad because I couldn't do it because I was just out of surgeries and I was disabled, and he got in there and helped build that room, and I said it's going to be there forever. So
And it will be.
yeah, it will be.
Well, forever is a long time, but it'll be there for a long time.
It'll be
Just
there
like,
as long as you're alive.
You know, the best part about this is I'm going through old bins right now, and I'm finding those medical packages that we were all giving away back in 2008, 2007, 2009, Michelle.
Wow.
We had those medical packages right up until her passing, and it was kind of cool to find those again. I was like, hey, check this out. Mine was 32 pages, and hers was like, well, hers was 32 pages. You know, it's like we're laughing about this, right? But, I mean, that was the best part about Michelle. She goes, I got to give you this book you got to fill out. We're going to sit down and have a meeting over this. He was like, laugh about it, right?
You know, the idea that so much of the heavy lifting was done by people who are, I don't want to say weaker, but in a position where they're already struggling to get by, like to be in so much pain, but that was what
the reason
drove
why
them to do it. It's like, you
Patients
know,
fight
other
is
people.
because, like,
Who else
I
is
think
gonna do
myself,
it?
no one else was going to fight for me. No one else is going to do this for us. And
else
that's what Jason
understands?
got behind. He says, no one else is going to do this. We have to do it. And you know what? And he grabbed it by the reins, and he did that. Just like Michelle grabbed it by the reins.
You
and
need
she
those
did
like
that.
pushy, passionate people who refuse to give up, or like I said when Michelle passed 10 years ago, we
Live
had a
your
memorial, and
dream.
it was like, these are people who burn twice as bright but half as long. You know, they go, they really put out.
We weren't right
If
to
you
the
go to
very
Cannabis
end.
Culture up in the
You
lounge,
got to
you'll
really
see a picture
force
of
us to go
Michelle
out
up there.
Yeah. Normally we just burn out, you know?
And you see the picture of Michelle up in the lounge there, and she's like just so brilliant. She was like that all the time.
Yeah.
That totally captured who she was as a person. She was so passionate and just so bubbling with the positive energy that people needed. She inspired a lot of people to keep going. Like, oh my God.
Someone just commented on my post today saying, you know, this really hit us hard because the guy says my girlfriend had just been diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and we looked to Michelle, and then
what we're
to
talking
lose her
about
was
right
so
there.
hard.
It was hard.
So we still have that up
Oh, yeah,
on
I
the
remember
wall
that.
at the lounge.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And you
Of
still
course I have it
tons
on
of
my
photos.
phone. It's like, it's right there.
Right there.
That's Michelle.
Yep.
And I think it's really hard right now for
And
a
it was
lot
with
of
me and
people
Jason.
who- Like
Go
Jason.
figure, right?
Yeah, there you go, right? That's
There you
true.
go. Oh, it's just
Yeah,
three patients
Jason
fighting. You know?
caused me to reflect back and just so many different stages we were on together. I had to introduce him so many times. We sat on panels together. Every event that ever happened, he was there, you know, just always a part of everything that was going on. a real dedicated full-time activist
Makes me
that
really
has
mad
had
that
such a huge impact.
these people who fought so much and like are not with
Text
us,
me.
they don't get it. Legalization really fucked everyone over, especially the patients, because a lot of the fight is gone and a lot of the community and togetherness is gone. Like, people don't understand that underground was like a support system.
It was for a lot of people.
Like, the being there, 420, being together, like that was a purpose, and you need a purpose to have a life, you know. And when a lot of patients lost dispensaries, they lost their connection,
We lost the community, and I keep saying that because everybody says, "Oh, the black market." The black market is the medical market. That medical market is striving strong and helping patients,
Yeah.
and that's how we do that stuff. And I remember we had this box came to the door. It said "good food." Why can't we send patients a good weed box?
Yeah, 30
It
grams.
comes with
30
topicals.
grams.
It comes with topicals.
30
It
grams,
comes with a
yeah.
couple few
All the
joints,
capsules.
some gummy bears, or whatever they need for their condition if they're suffering from chronic pain or cancer.
We were sort of doing that with the ninja stuff.
You know,
Well, and let me say that is what we are doing.
Yeah,
that is what we are doing,
Neil's
and
doing.
we're not done yet. And our community can still come together, and we can still have a great 420 down the road and other events as well. So with the show has always been about, for the last while, about the pursuit of access to medical cannabis through storefronts, and our journey in doing that with the cannabis substitution program. And as regular listeners or watchers will know, we were in court on Monday, yesterday, and we had quite a thing there for a few hours where Mr. Conroy had to challenge our landlord's lawyer about us being evicted, and he had a good case, but the case was revolving around, you know, we can't just end these people's program. We can't stop the program. We have to find a way to make that work. Our group, the Serious Hope Society, we've been putting our applications into the different levels of government. We have a very comprehensive application into the federal government, and I must say I'm really, really disappointed in our federal government. Our application to them was emergency. It was marked emergency on the front of it, and the reason it was an emergency was because we were facing eviction from our landlord, and they said nothing. They remained silent. That was their answer to us. Their answer was, we're going to let you get evicted so that we don't have to deal with licensing you as a low barrier access dispensary. So shame on them for that. But John Conroy did such a fantastic job of putting together our affidavit and our application, which was part of our application to the courts for not being evicted. And at this point we have a reserved decision coming on Friday, but we're very confident because the only concern of the judge was that the landlord not be injured financially, and could we prevent that from happening. And we've already, after the court case now, had conversations with our landlord's lawyer. It'll be submitted to the judge before his decision is made, that we will be able to put together a bond that will secure the landlord from any financial injury if he is to be charged or fined as a result of not having evicted us. And that's just as ludicrous as can be as well. Yes, we can't guarantee that the city prosecutor won't go ahead and lay charges against the landlord for not successfully evicting us, and maybe there will be fines that could be $250 to $10,000 a day that would go back all the way to July. So that's what they're concerned about, and we can't guarantee that Mr. LeBlanc won't do that. But really, I mean, he's not going to do that. Our landlord has done what they needed to do to try to evict us. If the courts grant what we're asking for, which is a 6-month adjournment while we get our paperwork and our licenses in order, then the landlord is not liable for anything to do with the city, because he did do what he needed to do to try to evict us. And in fact, we're now on the hook for all of his legal costs to bring us to this point, and whatever happens afterwards as well. So, you know, there's no way that he's going to be charged or fined by the city, but that's the only thing that the judge is concerned about at this point in granting us a 6-month adjournment. So we're now very confident that we can satisfy that concern, and that the judge will grant us 6 months to be able to get the licenses in order, and if not, 6 months later we can revisit it and get some more time if we need to. I'm sure there'll be logical reasons why by then the federal government hasn't decided to give us permission to save people's lives during the worst health emergency in the history of Canada. So anyway, there's my little rant.
10 years ago, shit seemed like, why the hell is it such a struggle still this far along?
Exactly.
Like, even when Michelle was still around, like 15 years ago even, there seemed to be a lot of progress being made, court cases, challenges,
courts are
Why the
being
fuck
made
are we
for
back in
patients.
court?
It's
Like,
almost
why?
like there's somebody making a lot
They
of money on
legalized
it.
Yeah,
cannabis
right.
for recreational
lawyers and
use.
judges
They got
and
involved
clerks and
for money,
yes.
and they
Corporates.
put in, and
Sheriffs.
they went about trying to be safe, so they weren't giving proper dosages to patients. The real medical access is, like we say, is the black market.
God,
That
I
is the
wish
medical
we had a
market.
Michelle here.
There's no
'cause,
black
I mean,
market,
we're all
it's medical.
That's
good
right.
advocates.
Hey,
Homegrown,
wait a second. So I had 2 gummy bears last night because, of course, you know that's what I eat, and they're 100 milligrams a piece, so 200 milligrams. So if I went down to a legal store, I would get 10 milligrams with 5 gummy bears. So now I have to buy. That's going to cost me $200. Do the math. 2 times 5. I'm going to have 100 gummy bears.
It's also going to put some weight on you.
I have been.
It'll rot your teeth in the process.
Speaking of that,
You'll get diabetes, but you'll get some cannabinoids in you. Thank God you at least got some cannabinoids in you.
I finally got a court date.
Yes, and that's the
Yeah.
good news
Did
on
you?
you.
Oh,
Is it
wow.
time for the Martin
Right.
medical moment?
Yeah.
Did we go past? Yeah, we're
Well, I
probably
guess
there.
so.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
4:37.
so,
No, not
So
really.
Jerry is a dispensary owner from Saskatchewan that got raided and shut down 4 years ago. He's been fighting with the courts and the government to try to get a day in court ever since. And we've been following that journey on the show. And you have a court date.
Yeah, April 24th to 26th, we're going to start
At
cross-examinations.
least it's not April 20th.
Yeah, no, yeah,
They
for
put me
sure.
on court on April 20th.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
That sucks.
It's almost
I never
surprising
heard
they don't.
But they're going to do it in phases. So it's going to drag out for I don't know how long anyway.
years?
So, but it's starting.
It's starting.
Well, it's been, yeah.
So,
It's been 4 now.
Well, here's the whole
Okay.
thing, and now with legalization, the change was before the people outside of that courthouse and fighting, we'd all be like,
Yeah,
oh,
now
and
we
now
don't-
it's kind of
yeah.
like, well, it's legal. What are we fighting for?
Yeah.
This is
It's
how
not,
things
though.
have changed.
It's not legal.
Well,
It's like Jody says, legalized, right?
I think the core people really do understand that what the government has done is taken over the industry, remaining everybody else that's not part of their plan to be criminalized. But mostly it's the lack of access to people for medical purposes, the daily users, the people that can't afford
dogs the
it,
size
the
of
people that are
football
compromised.
at each other.
They're the ones that are really, harmed by this so-called legalization, and they're the ones that the government is fighting against in what they're doing with the shutting down the medical dispensaries, not allowing us to have a license easily. All of that is our government's fighting against the sick people.
Yeah, against the sick people.
The
Exactly.
sick people.
Yeah,
And
taking
the poor
money.
people.
They want to take money
if you
from
take
sick
a look
people.
at where the court case is set up, and that's what Jason would say the same thing, is through all the court cases, we run our right to grow our own, and we run our right to be able to use cannabis as a medicine. But it states purely in the part of the decision that once cannabis can meet an adequate supply for patients, we will no longer need a license.
Yes.
And we're in that point right now. That's what they're trying to push with the edibles. Now, there's a big thing with Shoppers Drug Mart now, so people are signing on with patients. I'm hearing great things about how you can get from different LPs, stuff like that, so you're not governed to one LP, or going to a store and walking in and some bud tender behind the door has no idea what's in the jar or what's being grown or how it's grown or anything. They're just going, oh yeah, the rep came in and said this is great, you know what I mean? So the difference is before patients were behind the scenes, they were going through the bud, they were bud tenders, they were helping other patients, and we've now lost that because now you can't give advice because you're not a doctor or a nurse practitioner, or you don't have this
Or
degree.
you're not allowed.
Okay, well, you know what? I have a degree in cannabis, okay, 100%, and it tells me exactly how it helps me every day. And I know what strains help me. And if you have a condition like me, then I try to help you deal with what I go through, chronic pain. You know what I mean? So everybody's got their
You should
whole
try
different
this,
thing.
man.
See, Sandra, you gotta try this one. But you know, as in COVID days,
stripper spit.
we're sitting here doing state we're doing
Swear to
what we
God,
can
dude.
here.
Yeah.
Strong.
39 years right here.
I don't know.
How many
I'm a
years
bit
do
of a
you?
lightweight.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm past 39 years.
39 years?
No,
Wow.
more than that.
See,
I'm
that
about,
rolled that
I'm gonna
market
say,
for us.
shit, I'm 42 years.
So I've been smoking since I was 16.
I've been smoking
I'm
42
55.
years. I'm 49. I've been smoking since I was 7.
Wow. Since you were 7. I started when I was 16.
I quit
think I was
smoking
like
cigarettes
13.
before you were born.
Wow, really?
I quit
71?
smoking cigarettes 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And I started smoking weed 48 years ago.
Wow,
Well,
you
good
got
on
me
you there.
beat. Yeah, you got
I'm
me.
hanging out with a true OG right here.
And, you know, and all the people
Beautiful.
who have been fighting for the patients, we're also fighting for the patients who can't get out and fight for themselves. There's people in
Big
wheelchairs,
time.
there's people in walkers,
Hey.
people with
That was the
canes.
time when
Yeah.
I was in my wheelchair and I was in my bedridden. Who was out there fighting? Michelle was.
Yeah.
So was Jason Wilcox.
Well, and
He was
that's
getting
part of
stages on
activism in
thinking,
general
getting
here,
the
you know.
activism
I mean,
and stuff like that.
some of the things that were driving me to do what I did
little
in the
dog
early
stand
days
up
of having
again.
quit my
Dog
job
stand up number
was
3.
when I was finding out that there's a half dozen countries around the world where you get executed for having like
Yes.
less than an ounce of
Oh,
weed.
yeah, yeah.
And that just It boggles my mind.
smoke
You know,
weed.
it's other people around the world that can't speak up. I mean, they can't have
Imagine
a
if
pot
you had
TV
resin
show
or
and get
hash in
stuff
your
off their chest. So we do a lot of what we do here in BC for the rest of the world. You know, absolutely.
Yeah, because
it's
anywhere east
horrible
of
what's
the
going on in
mountains
the
in
rest of the
Canada,
world.
it's fucking a total different situation.
is.
Like so many people. Like I have a friend that today that saw us from New Brunswick, and he saw that we were at the courthouse, and he said there was so much more support for the cannabis community out here than there is back east, and it's so true. It's so true. And once you get past those mountains, it's a total different situation.
Well, if you're in a small town Canada, you can't say much. You don't want to be vocal, and because you're very visual, the authorities come to know you pretty quick, and then you become targeted. And seriously, in a small town, the cops get to know you. You're one of the agitators that's, you know, not letting them just make their money by busting people, while you're going to get pulled over for every little tail light that's out, and every other time you're
because he said his store got busted, and no patients came down to support him or anything.
They're afraid to.
But when we get together, we get patients and people out there in court cases hanging around cars, listening to judges. You know, and that judge sounds pretty sympathetic.
He really did.
He did.
Yeah.
He sounded
I
like
think
he
he
was
got
an older judge. He was like maybe in his 30s or something like so, and he was concerned
young
about
for a
the
judge.
deaths. You know, if he says no and then not to give the adjournment, then he's sort of like putting those people to maybe more deaths.
Yeah, that's why I'm so confident.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes,
that.
more deaths. And then it'd just be in the news. We could be in the news. Like they wouldn't give us the 6-month adjournment. No.
Oh man, I mean, if we did get a really bad ruling, like they're not going to tell us we have to move out like next week. No matter what, you know, it's going to be a period of time involved, and I'm sure it'll be a reasonable period of time. I mean, even if we got 4 months, that might be enough for the federal government to finally, you know, decide how they can approve what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
But
now
I
we're
don't.
in an election,
I'm
too.
very confident. I mean, there was no talk of, you know, immediately kicking them out or what you're doing is illegal. We were concerned that there'd be some issue with us coming to court with dirty hands.
Yes.
Because, you know, what we are doing, we don't have a permit and a license for at this point, even though we should.
Yes.
So, you know,
but your hands weren't so dirty because the city said, "Go ahead, try to make this."
Absolutely, we opened in good faith.
And that's what John was telling me. Mr. Leon, the other guy, he would say, "Oh, they got dirty hands," you know, like. But it wasn't really that situation. It's not like you got caught. You know, you were told to set it up. You set it up, and then they came in and said, "Hey, what's going on here?" Right? So.
Well, with respect to the federal laws, I mean, we have always had dirty hands. I mean, what we're doing with the cannabis substitution program is, you know, people are donating, you know, high dose quality edibles to us, and we give them out. And so now we're selling it as well because people need access that way, and we need a model that's sustainable. But it's low barrier access. The markup is low, and so we're getting medicine back to the people. We've got $1 a gram, $3 a gram, $4 or $5, nothing over $6, and our $6 gram is as good as anybody else in the city. So and the other range of products is really important as well. That, you know, there's the topicals. There's a huge range of different edibles because gummies don't work for everybody. Not everybody wants to eat a gummy or can. So they need to come in a bunch of other different forms, including capsules, which are cheap at $2 a piece, where you can get, you know, a good dose of cannabis cheaply that way. But also the tears from heaven, we call them, and which is like the RSO oil. The different concentrates. We have different hashes available. There's topical creams. There's the suppositories. There's good quality, and it has to be high quality. All of it has to be high quality because these are daily users. We're serving a population of people who are trying to offset the use of their opioids and other street drugs, and that's something that requires daily use of high quality. It's working what we're doing.
That guy that last week during your show walked in, and as he was walking out the door, he said, "I would be on a crack pipe right now if this store wasn't here." And that was really awesome.
But we get that every day.
You do that, but
we
not
do.
everybody gets to hear that. You get
well, they don't do it on the show every day.
Yeah, your staff gets to hear it.
But our staff hears that every day.
Every day.
And this has been going on for like three years and almost 9 months now since we started the cannabis substitution program. We have, you know, such a huge body of success. Dr. M.J. Malloy, and that was very powerful in the court case as well. And the judge wanted to have that letter read out to him about what Mr. Malloy had to say. And Professor Malloy, one of the, if not the leading or most respected expert on the topic of cannabis as a substitution, also Zachary Walsh, Professor Zachary Walsh, who also wrote us a great letter. But Dr. Malloy was very clear that what we are doing is saving lives, that a very vulnerable, jeopardized population will be at great risk if we were to have to stop. And I liked how he said that our program should be protected and it should be supported, but it should be expanded. And that's the important thing, is we need community cannabis shops in communities all across Canada.
We've got one on the East Coast.
Well, we don't have a community cannabis storefront, but the beginning of the program where we were just giving out edibles, they had over 200 people today in a lineup. They do it every Monday in Halifax there. Chris Backer, a great shout out to those guys. And I understand he has amazing volunteers that make it work as well. And that's so important, that you have people that will be reliable and show up all the time, or that the donators will donate on a regular basis, so all of a sudden you're not stuck with nothing one day.
So we got one on the west, we got one on the east, now we just got to fill in the middle.
And it's also happening in California. I don't know who to shout out for that, and I haven't seen much of the details, but I've been told that there's a cannabis substitution project that's also using our logo and stuff down in California.
Wow, nice.
I'm more than happy with all of that. Join our little movement here.
Start your own in your town,
absolutely.
in your city.
Check in with me if you want as to how to do that. I'll tell you, you need to have a user group, and if there isn't a user group that can connect with the people in the community that would need this service, then it's a good idea to start one. And you can do that by contacting Bandu, and they'll help guide you through that process of probably getting some government funding to put together an advocacy group that can represent the people's needs in those communities. And then the user group will help you and provide you with a place where you can meet with these people that works. And then you need a dedicated group of donors, some volunteers who really care, and probably at least one person who is just never going to let go of that bone and keep at it until you get her done, and sustain it for a period of time. And then you'll get your public officials on board with you and your health officials on board with you, and you can start saving lives in your community. And I think that's what has to happen.
So something like the Calgary Cannabis Club, if they were to start doing a CSP program, they've got the group of people that you're talking about and the group of users and stuff, and they would
need to connect with the users. I'm sure they've got the volunteers, and they've probably got the donators, and they could make that happen there. And then if they can connect with a user group or create one that would help to get the people to come out and use it. And not everybody's going to do that, right?
No.
This opioid problem, it really stretches across most of the communities, not just the poor and homeless and the visibly addicted, but so many others as well.
Yeah, there's just 5 people in Surrey.
And so that those people need to be reached, and what they need is access to high-dose cannabis edibles. They need to have a storefront that they can discreetly walk into, purchase what they need, and walk out without having to enroll in a program like the Cannabis Substitution Program, where they're coming in. The people that come into our store that are part of the Cannabis Substitution Program, 253 people with another 200 on a waiting list. They go to their section of our counters where the food is laid out there that they can choose from, 420 milligrams every 4 days. And there's people that just wouldn't be part of that group. There's people that can't, for whatever reason, be identified and walk in and be part of that group. So they're not going to register with us. But they need to have a place where they can get access, and they can just walk in, they can purchase some edibles, and they can walk out. And so that's where the Healing Wave comes in our particular case, but that's where we need storefronts that will provide that. Dispensaries all across Canada need to be allowed. Medical dispensaries that have the full range of medical things. Bud tenders that can talk about the benefits of what these things can provide for people. And they need to have that going on, because those people are not going to be identified, and they don't want their church to know, they don't want their neighborhood to know, they don't want their families or their co-workers to know. So they need to have a place that they could just walk into with a hat over their head, and in our case, we sign them up as members. We say, what name would you like to have on your membership card? Then they've got a membership card. That was a good catch.
Good catch. Good catch. And then yesterday there was somebody that walked in and did that. Her name was, she chose Sugar.
Sugar,
remember? That was,
I do remember Sugar.
She said Sugar. And that's it. That's all she needed to know.
I'm not going to tell you her number, but it was a unique number.
Yeah.
And so that was very cool. The person that got, I guess it's not their real name anyway.
Yes, it's not.
But the person that got, what was it, 1420 now that we celebrated? Their name was I Love Purple.
Oh, great. So, should have been I Love Green.
I Love And, you might think that this is frivolous, or maybe we're skirting some rules that we should be following or something, but no, there's a real importance to doing it like that, because that community of people, that 25 to 30% that can't show us ID, that won't show us ID, that won't give their real name for whatever personal reasons they have, those are people that need to be reached as well, and they're not being served by the government stores or any of these stores that require ID. So that's why we do it like that. Low barrier is on purpose. We need to have no barriers in front of people, because people are dying because they're forced onto opioids and other dangerous drugs, and they don't have the option of going and getting cannabis high-dose edibles, which is way more fun, feels way better, and then they can join the ranks of the people that were able to escape that and say that cannabis saved their life. And that's what's going on. The government needs to get out of the way of people getting access to high-dose cannabis edibles, because that can get the people through withdrawal and onto other things.
High-dose edibles, exactly what got me off all those heavy pharmaceuticals. 280 milligrams a day of Oxycontin. Like, you're not getting off of that by smoking a joint or taking a 10 milligram little gummy bear. You need high doses, and that's how you deal with high pain. That's how you deal with high anxiety. That's how you deal with high stress. That's how you deal with someone who's been seriously injured or suffering, with high dosages in order to rail them and get them off that track and get them into a better quality of life.
Did you try going through withdrawal without cannabis before? I mean, have you experienced that hell?
I have been through all kinds of withdrawals.
Because that's the big thing on where we are, right?
Withdrawals was the big thing with WCBs. They said they called me a junkie, so they prescribed this shit to me every day. So I was going through withdrawals, going through all the heavy pharmaceutical drugs, and that's when I went on my own regime. That's when I walked in the Green Cross Society, and that's when I started running into people like Michelle, and I started running into Jason, people like yourself. Understand, I was a guy who was just a grower, who was working hard, and one day I made the wrong turn. I fell 20 feet in the concrete. And you know what? If it wasn't for high doses of THC, decarboxylated forms of THC, work with Dr. Hornby, work with BCCS, all of those people, Paul Hunt, like I say, these are all the OG names that changed the game. Like sitting in those labs, and I had saw Paul about 3 months ago.
Paul Hunt, I see him.
No,
Hornby.
Hornby.
I talked to Paul Hunt today.
I'm glad he's okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
I haven't heard him.
Yeah, he came out. He actually did a show on Pod TV. I had him on the episode.
Oh, he told him I said hello if you see him.
And how's it growing?
Been a long time.
Jason was supposed to be on the show. We just talked about that. I sent him a text message here like 3 weeks ago. He wanted to be on. He wanted to be on the show.
Yeah.
Nice. It would have been nice.
Right, he's gonna be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
In memory.
He'll always be there, but like us all, we'll definitely be doing a show once the funeral has passed, and once we've gone through certain steps, then we're gonna have a good celebration of life for Jason.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some dedication thing. We're already talking with some other people, and there's definitely gonna be something special that we're always gonna be able to remember Jason. Like Michelle's got a bench, Jason's gonna get something too.
See.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, for me, these people, they're never really gone because they're always in my mind. I'm always thinking about, like, Michelle comes back to me regularly, and they have an impact that lasts on all of us, and they're ingrained into us.
Yeah.
I mean, we all learn stuff from each other, and I learn stuff from Jason, and as we're sharing panels together, and he's speaking, and
I learned a lot from that guy too, man.
Absolutely.
I was in Saskatchewan, and I'm watching all these guys on YouTube, and it was just phenomenal to see them take the government and have the fucking balls to raise that money and say, fuck you, we want our rights. And it was the first time in my life that I felt like I was part of something that mattered. So it was important
and
to
Big
me,
Lum
too.
in Saskatchewan there, there's such a huge part of Saskatchewan activism. He too was totally inspired by Jason.
and who called me and let me know? I got a phone call from Jeff.
Yeah, me too.
At 12:33, I was in my room trim, and he goes, "Is it true?" He goes, "What, Jason passing?" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, and then I started crying. I was like, "Wait a second here." I said, I don't let you go, dude. And I went right to his Facebook. I saw it, and message going in there. 2 minutes later, she says, "I'm gonna go live," and that was in like 20.
Donna
minutes.
called me at 2:30 in the morning, and I drove down there to his door, and it was taped up, and
And then he messaged me. And then in the morning, I got another call from someone else that had heard, I think, through Ann. And then I called Glenn, and then that's how it went. I know the family wasn't happy that the news got out, but that's just the way these things go. We all care, we all feel like family, and when you find out,
we had our
like
differences, but I was. You know what I mean?
Everybody but has.
But I was really happy we were supposed to go on.
I asked you, are you going to hang a picture of him in the grow room that he helped build? Have
He's always there.
He's always there.
I was really happy though.
I've never been to your grow room, so I don't know. So I'm just asking, right?
You don't follow him on YouTube, man? I've been in his grow room all the time.
I just did a video.
I've personally never been there, right?
I'm a subscriber.
I'm a subscriber. I also got daddy
people
duty.
like Jason, people like Michelle inspired me to do what I've done. And you know what? I mean, my biggest thing is to help patients, and that's why I have my YouTube channel. That's what I do for one reason only. To help people grow their life. Grow your journey, because it's your yellow brick road. It's nobody else's, so get on that fucking road. Excuse my language, I don't like swearing too much. And grow your journey, no matter what that growth is going to be. And when you fail, try again, because that's how you learn. That's how winning's done, is by learning and keep pushing.
Winning is by overgrowing, Johnny.
You know,
isn't it? Overgrow, man. It's still the motto. It's still the mantra. Fucking grow weed, man.
Ever stop.
It'll be the best thing you ever do. Grow weed. Grow weed.
And when you fail, do it again.
It's a plant, but it's a really good one.
Have fun with it. And then when you get good at it, then go down the rabbit hole and start trying to kill him. And spend months doing this and really understanding and look at plant growth and look at vegetation growth, look at different strains that are going to help you, look at how plants work. I mean, it becomes more than a hobby, it becomes your passion, it becomes your life. And that's what's happened with me. It helped me change my path of fighting about the pain I was going through, be able to manage my pain and move forward with it. And that's why we all got to grow our own, right?
Yeah, Spirit Plant Medicine Conference is coming up too there. Yeah, it's this week.
And then another thing, the Royals just came out with a new thing that's almost like the Nobel Peace Prize, where if you do something nice for the planet, they'll give you $1.25 million for 10 years.
Who?
The Prince Harry and the Royals, the boys.
I'm going to get $1.25 million over the next 10 years?
Hold on. But you got to do something nice for the planet.
Yeah, so, I do that every day.
Well, we could do hemp. Hemp will take care of the pollution problem, will help save a lot of trees. I was thinking, you know, that would be big enough for them to notice, right?
Help save the planet.
But if we could get
soon to be a hemp bottle. Soon to be a hemp, because you can make anything out of that stuff, right?
Yeah. What?
Of course. You can't make Medtainer out of hemp. No. What about a composite of hemp and other things?
I don't know. No, because then it becomes porous and becomes non-airtight, so you need the medical grade. So when they have when they have something like that, that's medical grade.
So medical grade plastics that you would be using then are definitely made out of fossil fuel, right?
The polyfine medical grade plastic. So yeah, it's 25% petroleum.
And you can make petroleum out of cannabis, could you not?
Well, you can,
some sort of oil.
Similar product, and that's where that's where I'd like to know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's similar. I mean, you can squeeze oil out of cannabis, or it's much more fine than that.
Yeah, I know that. I use a can of clamp at home. I squish that shit out of that.
You can get the oil out of that. So what's different about the oil, Johnny? Like, is it not as the viscosity is less or more?
No.
Okay.
All you know is I would tell it
because you looked into it. You would have loved to have had hemp Medtainers.
Oh, hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Hemp everything.
Sure. But there's something.
Well, I can't have a house. You know, it doesn't happen. It's too bad.
There is one
not yet.
Crazy. Maybe
there is one in South Africa.
I saw hemp boards recently, 2x4s. But I don't know what the cost is. Well, that's the big question, obviously. What's the price point?
I'm because lumber's through the roof right now.
Yeah, but if you can grow the hemp plant 4 times in a year, and it takes a tree almost 10 years before you can take it down, obviously it should be cheaper eventually, because we'll be able to produce more of it and have the fibers.
Go to China. They got big 15, 20-foot trees.
Well, let's do it here. Let's do it here and let's figure it out.
I'm just saying
because Glenn's right. I mean, it produces a huge amount of biomass.
Yeah, and it takes in 4 to 5 times more of the carbon dioxide than that tree that's right there, right?
You know, I've seen hemp plants in Canada here that are like 20 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like seriously, just huge. And you get in there, it's like a really dense forest. The stalks are super thick.
Yeah.
You can use that for a lot of stuff. I'm sure we're smart enough to figure out.
A lot of people are saying that there's a problem with manufacturing it. We can grow it, but there's not many places who will manufacture hemp yet.
Are you going?
I have to run off, but I want everyone to remember, because like in all truth, honesty, like 10 years ago, Michelle, when she passed, we were on not great terms. Like there, in 2005, the DEA raided cannabis culture. Michelle, Rainey, Mark Emery, and Greg Williams were all facing like life in U.S. prison for selling marijuana seeds and financing the movement. It was a really stressful time when the seed money was gone, and Michelle managed all the businesses, but shit got tight. And then Michelle got diagnosed with cancer, and they were facing life in prison, and it was stressful. And so her and Mark, who were best friends, they lived together. They were like that. They had a falling out because shit like that happens, and it was really stressful. But Mark managed to get a plea deal where Michelle and Greg didn't get any jail time, and he accepted 5 years in the U.S. But you know, that plea deal was made in like September 2009, and Michelle passed, you know, only 1 year later. So when Mark was extradited in May 2010, you know, there was no chance to make up.
Yeah.
And
But you would have.
We would have at this time. That's what Karen and I just said. You know, like if Michelle were here right now, like there's people are. There's a bunch
Big
of bullshit.
booby hugs for you and everybody else.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right now, there's a
Would've been-
lot of like hateful, mean people right now, like trying to use Michelle's death and person as like a reason to. It's really like it's just there's a lot of weird stuff going on right now, and I don't understand it. But I know that in Michelle's passing, I learned a lesson that you know, seize the day, make up, forget the fucking bullshit is number one, and then Jason's passing and like 10 other people this year who have died that I know. Like get over that stuff, guys. Like it's just don't waste your life in ugliness. Like
Hug each other.
Yeah. You can't change the past today, right? What's in the past is in the past. There's no way we can go back in time and change it.
Right.
Just accept what's happened,
and then
try to make friends again.
Make it right.
Make
you know,
amends,
make
yes.
it right.
When they die, you realize how much you actually love the person and how frivolous the rest of the bullshit was. And you know, you look back on, well, what did this person actually do, and who were they? And oh my God, you know. And
that's because as a species, we always focus on the negative. We got to start focusing on more on the positive sides, right?
I think also like Michelle, I came here in 2004. And then, like, by 2002, like, it was a brief window, really, of knowing her, but, like, this far along, it's like, I'm 36, and she died at 39. It's like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
That's any
That's
day,
23
any
years,
of us,
yeah.
anytime. So, like, live life to the fullest, be kind, be good, because if you, even if you just live each day grateful to be alive, but putting out hate, it's not good for your soul, it's not good for the world. So, like, get past your bullshit, and to all the people
forgive
who are,
everybody. They all did the best they could with what they had. It's in the past. It's important to each individual not to hold things against other people because it really hurts them. So that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and Michelle, I think, again, would be like, fuck this bullshit that's tearing us apart. Like, we don't have medical access. We don't have a lot of things we still need. So get over that shit and get together and make shit happen.
Do it. Exactly.
Yeah,
be thankful.
Positive,
Be thankful that you're here today, awake, breathing, you know, and then we're standing here on a path talking about people who have passed and have done lots of good for our cannabis community.
Great things are still happening.
Yep.
Great things are happening.
You
know, the jury is in. Like, there's no more debate. There is no more debate. Cannabis is not some violence-inducing, horrible shit that you get addicted to and da-da-da. It is a great product, a great medicine, and it helps to substitute opioids, and all that science is now in.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, we don't have to educate anymore because that's all been done and continues to just flow in. 2 years of legalization, it's still a bullshit system where it's just for the insiders that have enough money or whatever and have to use the government weed and da-da-da-da-da.
So many issues.
All those people
So
have
many
lost,
issues.
all those stocks have crashed.
But 2 years in, nobody's died, right? Nobody's died.
Nope, nobody.
And the statistics must be just over the roof as far as how much value cannabis is actually providing to our communities and offsetting alcohol use and da-da-da-da-da.
So many benefits are still unfolding.
You know, absolutely.
So take time to celebrate. Like, we're all still fighting hard. But I'll just note, again, we're here in Maple Ridge at the park where Michelle's bench is. It stands out from all the rest because it's red.
Yep.
And Michelle's red lipstick and big booby hugs is how everyone remembers her. So that's why there's a red bench. So it says on it, big booby hugs. You can't miss it. Come on out to the park. You're
Should we show a little scan?
Let's show people who don't
We're gonna scan over
well,
your
no.
way, okay?
I'm not gonna interrupt the memorial in any way to get a shot of it.
It's okay.
Yeah, they're chilling on the bench. It's all good.
It's okay. Jerry, let's see the bench there. There we go. Just a little.
There you go.
Thank you all for coming out.
There you go.
Anyway, I have to take off, like I said, but again, thanks for coming out, and to everyone else, and remember that...
Here's a cookie.
Yeah, there's a cookie. Don't forget your cookie.
Wait, so like, is this one with a warning?
No. The regular cookies.
Yeah, the regular
That's a Tim
is my
Hortons cookie,
style.
yeah.
I'll do that. All right. Okay, thank you guys.
Bye, Jodie. Have a good day.
Bye.
Enjoy the ride home. It's nice.
Yeah, take it easy.
Any parting words?
Huh?
Any parting words?
Oh, are we parting?
We could part.
We could part, yeah.
Jerry, what do you want to say?
You want to say anything? John, you want any parting words?
Isn't it? Sorry.
Anybody want any parting words?
24th, 26th.
All right.
Yeah,
Cookies from Michelle?
Cookies from Michelle. Thank you very much.
Try and live a little better every day. Remember those that have passed, and especially
the
those
chorus of people that are up there looking down on us and helping us from above is getting bigger and bigger all the time. And that's one of the reasons we're going to win this thing too, is we got a lot of good energy on our side from people that have come and fought the good fight, and they're still alive and well in all of us as we do what we do.
And below, right?
We got support all over the place.
Yeah.
Never stop giving, never stop loving, never stop puffing.
I'm not saying goodbye yet, by the way. We're getting close.
We're getting close. All right.
I'm eating cookies, I'm puffing joints.
You guys can say goodbye all you want. Yeah, but
I'll take his cookies.
We should just say a little bit more about our project and what's going on here. I just want to summarize that we went to court yesterday, or at least our lawyer went to court. We went to court because we were led to believe there'd be a room for us to sit in and be able to at least hear the proceedings, and that the judge would be able to see us in the courtroom and what have you. That never happened. They weren't prepared for that or allowing that. So we all gathered around Glenn's car, and I was able to log in and through my ID, listen in, and we put that through Glenn's car so we could all hear. So we had a nice crowd of people around the car listening as John Conroy explained, how we do what we do, why we do what we do, the importance of what we're doing, and the real serious consequences that would happen if we were to some reason have to stop. And that we opened that shop in good faith, having met with the one part of the city in any case, and that our issue is with the licensing department and with the city prosecutor, who won't come out and say that he won't prosecute our landlord for not evicting us. But in the end of the arguments, the only concern of the judge is that there is a chance that we can't guarantee won't happen, slim though it be, that there could be something come against the landlord that would cause him financial damage, and would we be in a position to be able to stop that from happening or prevent him from being harmed that way. And it seems that we think we have the ability to raise the funds that we would need to put together some sort of a bond to allow that to happen. And if that's the only obstacle, then we should get a 6-month adjournment on any eviction, and in that length of time, hopefully the federal government, who did not respond to our emergency request to help us before this court date yesterday, by the way, that by that time they will have granted us a license to allow us to do things, which is what the community needs, not what the stockholders and shareholders need. But what our community needs is low barrier access to cannabinoids in all of its different forms, and that's what we're providing. So hopefully we get permission to do that, and that's where we're at with that. We do need more help with the cannabis substitution program, and all. We have over 200 people on a waiting list. So if you would like to donate, I guess that's something you could do. Contact me. We're on Facebook, Cannabis Substitution Project, or me, Neil Magnuson, and we'll figure out how you can do that, because it looks like we're going to need that. We're going to have to pay the legal fees of our lawyers, which is in the thousands of dollars already as well. So we don't want that to impact our ability to get things at the prices that we have to the people. So we're going to find some other way to do that can help that happen. So that's where we're at with that. There is the Spirit Medicine conference going on. I think that's
we're sponsoring that too.
Do you know the dates?
23rd? The 25th?
We'll post it on
I think
on
tomorrow
the feed
I've got
soon.
the Psychedelics Drug Development Conference for the next 2 days. I got to be up at 6 a.m. for that, man.
Oh, oh man.
Yeah.
6 a.m.
And then the 3 days after that are the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference.
Right, so there are some things happening, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And we got things happening on Pot TV as well on a regular basis. Monday, the 420 Lifestyle Show, BC Bud Gal, Carly Marley. More fun than you have on all the other shows. That's what I always keep saying, because that's what I always see every time I look into their show. It's just lots of fun. Myself will be back with the THC show, I imagine, next Tuesday, maybe on time next Tuesday, probably from the Healing Wave, but who knows where we might end up. And then on Wednesday, it's Greg Williams with From Under the Influence. And Thursday, BC Bud Gal with Morning Glory. I don't know that she has a set time.
10.
10 o'clock now. 10 o'clock. It took her a little while, you know, stoner time. And
10's good.
10's a good time for those people that are up at 10 o'clock. I know I am.
That's impressive.
Not necessarily by choice, but I guess we do
I
everything
get up
by
at the
choice.
crack of noon on winter hours.
I was doing that for a while, but now I'm back to being a working guy, so that's good. Friday, how's it growing with Johnny B, who's here and has been a part of the show today? I don't know where he's at with his crop. It's probably down and curing by now. Pretty soon it'll be wrapped in baggies for you to look at, and he'll show you how to do that maybe. But back to old school, you know, helping people get what they need. And Saturday, high noon with Boss Lissa. Does she have regular co-hosts or just
last two episodes? It's been a rapper named Covey, but I think it's swapping around. But always something up on high noon.
And always Boss Lissa looking after things there.
Yeah,
cool.
She's the boss.
And so yeah, check out all the shows on Pod TV. And I think you get Sundays off to review any that you missed. And otherwise, you know, really embrace your life and embrace your friends and realize that it can be fleeting and short for you or anyone else at any moment. And let trivial things go as quick as you can. Whatever you do, have as much fun as you can. We'll see you next week.
It's her.